Oh, look how fat they are. This is glorious. Oh Lord, keep coming. Oh, sorry, I thought this was my gaming channel. Anyway, I'm going to be looking at running totals today. Got this is the right slide. I'm going to be looking at running totals today. And what a running total is, it's using a loop so that you can keep track of a score or a price or a point or something like that. We've looked at adding stuff together before, but it's just doing it in a more efficient way. So every running total begins with, you have to write total equals 0 or something like this. It always has to normally it's going to equal 0. This is where we're going to keep track of our number. This is also the most commonly, despite this being the most important bit, it's also the most commonly forgotten bit. So always make sure you put this at the top of a program. From there, most running totals are going to look something like this, where you have a loop, and then you write total equals total plus something. For now, I've just said plus 1. This one is going to add 1 to the program every single time it goes around the loop. It'll probably make more sense with an explanation that I'll walk through. So what I've done is I've made a table here. Initially, total is going to be at 0, but we're going to focus on this line. So it's 0 to begin with, but when it goes into the loop, it says total equals itself. Itself is currently 0. This bit's important, so it's 0 plus 1. What's 0 plus 1? It's obviously 1. And then print out total, so 1 would then appear on the screen. The next time it goes round, it goes total equals its current self plus 1. So its current self is 1, then it adds 1 to it, it becomes 2, and it will print out 2 to the screen. And it just keeps going like that. So it goes on again, total equals 2 plus 1, and then it goes to 4, and then it will print out all of those numbers every time it goes round. There are a couple issues that people commonly make are total has nowhere to store its answer. So the difference between this one and this one is, see this total equals bit? If you don't do that, you're not actually, although this sum is correct, you're not storing it anywhere. And when it does print total, this one would just say 0 every single time because you're doing the right sum. It's not going to break, it's just going to keep saying 0, 0, 0, 0. The other mistake is if you miss out the total plus 1 bit here and you just write plus 1. This will just make total equal to 1, and it will be 1 every single time. It doesn't have the total to reference before, because this is saying redefine it, make it this instead, but you need to find its old self. So it says its old self plus 1. So what you need is, you do need all of these bits. If any of these pieces are missing, nothing will work. And like I said, the most common mistake people make is if you've got an error, like it'll say something, maybe total was undefined, just look at the top of your program and make sure you've got total there. If you don't have it there, it's not going to work. But that'd be the first thing I check personally. Using it in a more realistic sense is, here's a little thing where it tells you to enter the price of, I don't know, let's say food or whatever, doesn't really matter. And every time you add up the price, it'll work the same as the plus 1, but instead of plus 1, it'll be whatever you typed in. So if you type in 2, it will add in, or £2, it will add up £2. If you then go and type in, say, £4, it will be £2 plus £4, and then it will say total cost £6 down here. If you unindented, I realize there is a bit of code missing there, the total cost bit, but it'll still work. If you unindented, or the official term is dedent, I thought that was a fake word, but it is real, this will only print out the final cost. Now that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you want that. It's because it's outside the loop. So if you only want the final cost or the final total, put it outside the loop here. If you want it every single time, keep it inside the loop here. We'll have a look at the worksheet for today. So, oh, that's not what I want. So here's the worksheet. First one is just that example I went through. Second one is, well, it's the example I went through again. We're actually going to see it working in real time. So if I run this, you just have to copy these ones, so it's easy enough. If you enter the item price, so let's say £2, see how it comes up £2. Don't worry that it does that 0 thing, it's a rounding error, but we'll fix that at a later date. If you do say £4, it's going to do 2 plus 4 is 6. Let's do £2.50, £8.50, and let's say £1.50, and it's going to give us £10 exactly, and that's perfect. From there, this task, you're really just doing the same thing you're doing here, but with slightly different numbers, slightly different words, but you want to indent the print like it is here. So you're really just shoving this bit along a little bit, and then you'll have that done in hopefully 5 minutes. This one, hope we don't get a copyright claim for this, but we've actually done something a little bit similar to this, you might not remember. You've got to ask how many players you want on your team. So it's how many times you're going to loop. So you need to pay in particular attention to this number here, and you just make it a question. So to give you a quick sneak peek, I have added a question here, and then I've put the answer to the question here. So when you run it, let's say I typed in how many players are on the team. If I type in 7, then it's going to ask me 7 times, but it's also going to add up the 7 answers. So I just say 456 to 400. Total points is 494. That's what we're looking for. Again, if you wanted it to display every single time, you would just indent it here. Task 5 is just editing task 4, but you've got 2 teams. I need to get that code up again. All you would do is you would just copy this, paste it, and then you would make a second total here, paste that as well. So I didn't even copy it. And then make this total 1, this total 2, and then go change the rest of the program. At the very end, you need to do an if statement comparing them, but I'll let you work out yourself. You just have to say if total 1 is greater than total 2 or whatever. Do it like that. This one, now if you can do this one, you're passing National 4, because this is very similar to a National 4 assessment. This is actually leaning on, now this is harder stuff we're doing. We're leaning into the Nat 5 type stuff. So I'll get that up. Essentially, you want to make it so that if the user types in, I've even started it off for you, actually I didn't realize that. If the user types in their fruit, so you write if apple equals, or if fruit equals apple, you write a new line of code that says apple count equals apple count plus 1. And you do the same for orange, and then at the end you run your code. So I'll just show it running. So what fruit do you have? Apple, orange, orange, apple, right, 3 apples and 2 oranges, and that's it really. The extension task is a bit different. You have to say if this number thing again, which we saw in the laser tag question, and what we've also got is this little subtraction bit. So if you write yes, you say which fruit you want to eat and how many. So you're just playing about with the numbers there to reduce. So I typed an apple, 2, and 2 apples disappeared. I think that's everything really. Hopefully this video was useful. Right, thank you, bye.